Mashu's just full of kryptonite. That's crazy. Make sure Clark doesn't come here. I'm kidding.
And these are most definitely
Oh, they caught Iroh too, huh?
He started the fight and left you behind and ran away.
That's funny. He said the same thing about you.
What do you think will happen to us?
Are they torturing people at Mashu? Come on, Bumi.
Were you working with the enemy?
It's complicated.
No, it's not. It's a simple question. Were you helping the firebenders?
Those two cuts were interesting. When they like closed up on Sokka's face, I feel like they should have just kept that the whole time.
The only reason Omashu has been left alone is because of whatever small service I provided them.
No, you honestly think that Amashu's still standing because you've been giving them information? No. If the Fire Nation could have taken Amashu, they would have done it already. Like that's a pretty delusional reason to be doing this.
My father would have never done what you did.
Yeah, Hakoda definitely not. Yeah, where's Jet and the rest of them? They need to be in jail too. Oh, unless they're about to breaking out of prison. Oh, that's Zuko in the bush. Zuko, you got changed very fast. In the cartoon, I would have forgiven it, but in the show, that was very quick. And yeah, those are some terrible soldiers. You didn't realize one of your guys got left behind? You're supposed to be watching out for each other, especially while you're marching. Like, what? 100 years ago.
Hey, Aang! Oh, hey, Bumi!
Oh, Gyatso's there. I didn't even realize that. I'm glad they kept his laugh. That kid he nailed the laugh, by the way. I was talking when I heard it, but yeah, it was pretty good.
My brother, the Fire Lord, sees things through only one lens. Victory or defeat.
Yeah.
Not even the loved ones lost along the way.
They're doing a really good job of portraying Iroh's, his non-belief in the Fire Nation mission. Like, you can really clearly tell that he doesn't agree with what they're doing.
What about the tunnels?
Tunnels?
The secret tunnels, hidden under the mountain.
Secret tunnels? What? They combined 4 episodes into one? That's pretty ambitious. Combining 4 episodes? Well, technically it's a 2-parter, but you know what I mean.
So, not just secret tunnels, secret haunted tunnels?
Even if I...
Haunted tunnels?
Where are you taking him?
To the pit.
The pit?
An Earth Kingdom labor camp for prisoners of war. No one who's been sent there has ever been heard from again.
I don't know. That was just a weird line.
You're not as lucky. You're going to see the king.
Oh, well, then he's very lucky.
It's time to fight.
Wow, he's about the life. He's like, we're getting out. Is that Boomju? Is he on a ball? Oh, okay. There's a chair on the ball. I was like, is he sitting on a ball? That's Flopsy, not Boomju. Boomju is also Bumi's pet, but the other Bumi. That's funny. I'm getting my shows mixed up.
Lotus root, pine bark, dried jasmine.
What? Did he ask for some tea?
Scalding hot water, steep for 2 minutes.
Okay, yeah, he was asking for tea. Okay.
Okay.
And you,
okay.
he is the master of all 4 elements, the savior of the world. He is the Avatar.
Bumi?
Hello, Aang.
Bumi!
Wow. Let him go. He just told you that was the Avatar. Let him go.
More importantly, how are you still alive? I'm still a child.
And still a child. The reveal wasn't as cool as I wanted it to be, but it's fine.
Throw him
A feast?
a feast.
Hey. Amashi looks amazing. That's really cool. Is Jet about to show? Oh, her little water pouch that she uses to carry water around. That's awesome. I'm glad that they're doing that. Yeah, I knew you were gonna show back up in this scene. It was too quiet, you know?
I thought you were on our side. On my side.
You've only known her for a day, dude. Oh, that's so cool. Well, how did she... Okay. She literally went from not knowing how to do the water whip in the last episode to knowing how to freeze stuff. But like, okay. I guess we'll let it slide.
Do you hear music?
They put the hippies in this episode? Alright, so by the end of this episode, Sokka's forehead should be red. Right? Yeah. Not Sokka getting into it. What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, in that case, you should probably see this. It's a tale of two lovers.
Oh, the Tale of Two Lovers. Okay. I'm glad they kept the same origin story.
Both villages helped her build a new city where they would live together in peace. The great city was named Omashi as a monument to their love.
This is one of those things that it's really interesting because, you know, with the Legend of Korra, we've learned that people originally got their bending from the lion turtle.
Now, is there anything I can do to make your journey more comfortable?
The cuffs are a little loose.
I'm fine.
Oh, they're not gonna do it? That would have been so cool. Did he show Zuko the pipe? I mean, he would have had to. That would be the only reason he would have dropped it. Even a clue for him to find.
Word of advice, the direct path is not always the best path.
You mean I should take the route that doesn't?
You should go through the Great Divide. That's where you should go. That'd be the best route to get there. Okay, so we are still gonna get the test. That's good.
You have to let it get dark so you can follow the light. That's how you find the path.
The light?
This is a nice little
Of
moment that they're
crystals?
having. But in all seriousness, Sokka's hunch was correct. So Katara takes the L on this one. The Asha torches look really good. I'm glad that they're doing, and that's like they know that they look good too because they're showing them so much. That's the only animal we've seen a whole bunch.
Firebenders don't need water, right?
I'm sure that was somebody's pouch that you just threw. You're gonna have to go pick that up. Over here trying to look cool.
We were at war. I was a soldier.
You were a butcher.
This guy just keeps throwing stuff he's gonna have to go pick up later. It really defeats the purpose. It's understandable though. Like, I'm not really upset that he's taking his anger out on Iroh.
Is that your pitiful way of saying you're sorry for what you did?
I wasn't talking about me.
I feel like, I don't really know. I do know that Paul said he wanted to do something a little different with Iroh because
You have no humanity.
yeah, like I was saying, I understand that Paul isn't trying to be the same Uncle Iroh from this show, but also at the same time, there is really no. You see, like after the soldier leaves, he has that like look of regret and sympathy on his face, but I don't really think that.
Was killed.
So, his son dies a hero, and he'll be forever known as a coward.
His sacrifice will be enshrined in legend.
Oh, did they use the same picture? I think they did. I know what he meant though, but that was. Yeah, say something different because I wasn't all that thoughtful.
When my studies weren't going well and father was unhappy, Lieutenant gave me this.
They're playing Leaves on the Vine? This is an amazing rendition of this song. Like I'm literally getting goosebumps. They did a good job with this. That was probably like the first time he saw something in Zuko that made him realize that, you know, Zuko could be better. This is really good.
You're getting good at that.
practice and some good instruction.
Yeah, I was about to say she's like really good. It hasn't even been like a full day yet, and just that one talk with Jet, she's already freezing stuff. She has the movements down.
This shouldn't be here. We were here before, but this wall wasn't.
How is that possible?
So they changed how the tunnels work. I mean, the tunnels were moving the whole time. Like, yeah, the tunnels changing. That's not what I meant when I said that they changed how the tunnels work. I meant about them putting out the light and following the crystals.
This isn't who you are. The Bumi I know is a fun-loving, happy kid who loves to skip rocks and always thinks about his friends.
Yeah, but that's the Bumi you know is from before a century of war, though. I get what Aang's saying, but also at the same time, it's like, dude, you've no idea how much he's been through while you've been in the iceberg.
Who cares about, saving the world? No, more fun to goof off. Am I right?
I feel like they were taking a dig at the show just a little bit when they were saying, who cares about saving the world? Let's go goof off. Like, if I want to go ride Elephant Koi, we're going to go ride Elephant Koi. And there's nothing you can say about it. You gotta see a bedroom. Big bad bedroom that lives in the tunnel. What was it? Big bad bedroom that lives in the tunnel that hate the wolf bats but love the sound. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. It's really dark. I want to see it like with some light on it because I can't tell if it looked good or not. Oh, that's cool. He sells the chain. I'm glad that they're doing that. Oh yeah, that's cool. That was cool. I like how they did that. That was really cool.
Some of us have to fight even when we don't want to. That's what it means to be in a war.
Yeah, so he's very clearly still teaching him all this stuff. The same lessons that he learned in the original show.
You can't rely on anyone, even your friends. Especially your friends.
Yeah, I made a tweet about that. Oh, oops, I bumped my computer. I made a tweet about that scene, and yeah, it's just like the sense of danger from when Aang is backflipping across that. Like the sense of danger isn't really there. Like the energy just wasn't there. But the rest of the fight looks great though. That was really cool. Yeah. Like the rest of the fight looks amazing, but just that one scene when he's flipping over the rock backwards, it's like the intensity that he could actually get hit just isn't there.
Do I save this town or that? Who gets the last of the food scraps, the orphanage or the soldiers? You have to make choices like that day after day.
Sokka, get the king!
Bumi said, huh? You could have dropped it. Bumi wasn't gonna let himself get crushed. He was just teaching you a lesson. If Sokka tackled you out of the way, how'd you still end up behind a rock?
You were wrong. You can rely on your friends. And that's the only way I'm gonna save the world. With my friends.
Saying that to the friend that you quote unquote abandoned is actually crazy.
It's time Mashu rejoin the war. Oh, but I do have one more challenge for you.
Is it the shoot? You know, okay. Yes. That's awesome. Are we back with who is this? Who is that standing there? Is that supposed to be Zulu with a headband on? Oh, this is Zuko after the Agni Kai.
Everything I need is on this boat.
That's really sweet.
Like I said, all the tea I need.
I like that you could see the tears welling up in his eyes. Uncle Iroh's eyes while he was saying that. All right, so that's it for this episode of The Last Airbender. All in all, pretty good. In the last in discussion, I was talking about how you have an episode named Omashu, but Bumi isn't in it at all. Well, obviously because it was a two-parter, he was in this one a lot. And I do like that Aang still got the lessons that Bumi was trying to teach him in the first place, you know? But I don't really know how I feel about Bumi being sort of bitter about the fact that Aang left. And, you know, it's one thing to consider, you know, in the animated show, Bumi, he was able to teach Aang the same lessons, but it didn't come from a place of bitterness and anger that, you know, he felt like his friend abandoned him. But it came from a place of, like, now that you're back, you need to understand this is what you're going to have to do to save the world. And I really do believe in you that you're going to be able to save the world. And I want you to know these lessons as you go on your journey to understand, like, what the world is like now. So in this episode, he got the same lessons and he got the same, you know, games, you know, having to decide who to save, who not to save, understanding that you can't just go straight to the North Pole. Like, sometimes you're going to have to divert your course and things like that. But I don't really know how I feel about Bumi being bitter about it. You know, in the cartoon, Bumi was just kind of like a definitely not go with the flow. I don't think I'd call him go with the flow. But, you know, Bumi was very wild and he always had a different way of thinking than everybody. They definitely got that part right. Like, just Bumi having a different way of thinking. But it felt, to me, it feels like the characters, Aang, Katara, Sokka, you know, they really stayed true to the character. And when they made it to where Bumi he wasn't just joking with Aang, the fact that Bumi wasn't really just joking with Aang and trying to teach him lessons to learn, but the fact that every lesson that Bumi was teaching him, and even at the end while they were sitting there fighting, Bumi was being very serious. Like, he was being, like I said, just bitter about the whole thing, which in real life you would be bitter if your friend kind of abandoned you and, you know, the world, for lack of a better word, went to crap after your friend abandoned you. And I do know that they want to make the show more serious, you know, they said Game of Thrones like, but I don't see how it's Game of Thrones like. But, you know, just making it more serious, more heavy-handed. And that's just one thing that I don't really know how I feel about. Because when they made Bumi feel, you know, a little bit bitter about the fact that that Aang left, it wasn't really staying true to the character. So this is the first time that they made a change that I really didn't like at all. Because, well, I don't want to get into that in case some people haven't seen the show. But yeah, for like later on down the line, I'm glad that Bumi ended up changing his mind and saying that he was going to start fighting again. And yeah, I don't know, because if you look at it that way too, Aang has been gone for, like, your best friend has been gone for 100 years, and he comes back and he gives you an old whistle that you made, and all of a sudden you're fine, you know? Like, I don't know, like, he changed his mind very quickly. And the part when they're sledding, using the mail system to go around, in the show, it was a really good callback because, you know, Aang had multiple flashbacks about his time with Bumi, where in this episode, he only really had one, and that's when Bumi gave him the bison whistle. And when they did the flashback, they never mentioned anything about the chutes, about how it was Bumi's idea to use the chutes to get around the city. And so whenever they wrote it here, just completely out of context, it didn't really feel earned. Like, them writing down the mail chute, it was definitely just for, like, the fans that have already seen the show and know already in their head what the chute means. For people that are just now watching this show for the first time, they would have no idea what that means. So I guess, I mean, not even an Easter egg. I guess you could call it an Easter egg, but I don't really know. But the fact that they included it, like, trying to think of this from an outsider's point of view, would be like, what was the point of that, you know? Like I said, if you're a fan of the show, you know what that scene is supposed to mean. But if you're not a fan of the show and you're watching it for the first time, you're like, oh, okay, they just wrote a shoot and crashed into Cabbage Man. That was definitely the same voice actor. I don't even have to look it up. Like, it sounded just like him. Yeah, we got to see the hippies again. That was pretty cool. You know, when he was singing Secret Tunnel, it just didn't hit the same. And that's just me. There's nothing wrong with the actor or anything like that. It just, you know, the other guy's voice, whenever I think of Secret Tunnel, that's what I think of. I think of his voice, very distinctive. And I really like, if it is the same guy, I guess it's because he's older, but I don't think that was the same guy singing Secret Tunnel. And then as for Secret Tunnel, some of the changes that they made, you know, I like when I understand whenever you're changing animation to live action that there are some changes that need to be made. But what I don't really like or understand is whenever they make changes that are unnecessary to the story, like at all. I was just talking about how in the last episode, Sokka, the lesson that he learns from the episode with Jet is that Sokka is supposed to, you're a leader now, you got to trust your instincts. And his instincts about Jet were spot on. And that kind of like leads Aang and Katara to start trusting Sokka a bit more when it comes to leading the team and understanding that, like, yeah, Sokka may be goofy and silly, but when it comes down to it, his leadership skills are actually pretty good. And so this episode here, when Sokka's like, "Hey, we need to put out our lights and follow the crystals," and he's like, "I just have an instinct about it, like it's a gut feeling," and Katara's like, "No," and then it turns out that he's wrong. Like, they didn't really learn that lesson at all about Sokka's leadership skills, because it really feels like they're making Aang the leader of the group when in the animated show is Sokka, which I get that with the tone being a bit more serious and all, but it would have been nice to have Sokka kind of get that character development of it's okay to trust your instinct, like even when other people think that you're wrong, because sometimes you may be right. So the fact that they changed the crystals not being the way to get through the tunnel and that it was the badger moles, I don't know, it just didn't really sit right with me, because for one, the change was kind of unnecessary because we already know that Sokka and Katara love each other. They're brother and sister, they're gonna fight, and they got to go through these growing pains because they're not kids anymore. They're out in the real world learning all these lessons, like, so we're gonna have that growth of them kind of being at each other's throats, but also at the same time, at the end of the day, we both know that, not we both know, they both know that they love each other, and the audience knows that they love each other. So, like I said, that change right there didn't really make sense to me because it's a given, So it just didn't really feel right. Like the whole argument that they had and how they made up, I feel like that could have been done. That could have been done at Kyoshi Island. That could have been done, in the mechanist shop when they were first arguing about Jet and the mechanist. The mechanist, saying that they're both, that they're both like not really good. They shouldn't be trusted. So yeah, like I said, that conversation just could have been had anywhere. And the fact that they had it in a cave to where the badger mole led them to freedom, it didn't really do anything, like story wise, for the most part. The badger mole was cool though. The badger mole looked really good. The first time we saw it, it was really dark and I couldn't tell if it looked good or not. But yeah, when we got to that one scene, where it's right about about to eat them and stuff, that was really cool. I believe that this is hands down the best episode that we've had with Zuko and Iroh, and really explaining and building upon their relationship. The Luten's funeral was amazing. Like the first time that I heard Leaves on the Vine in the background, that first off, that rendition of it was really good. Like that was awesome. I'm gonna need to look up if they have that like on Spotify or something, but it was really good. And I'm glad that Zuko went back to Iroh and changed what he said to him about his son. Because the first thing he said, I was like, no, that's terrible. I'm like, that's like probably the worst condolences I've ever heard, like ever. So the fact that he went back and he gave Uncle Iroh the medal that Luten gave him was really sweet. And like, I literally had goosebumps like watching that. It was amazing. And yeah, so like their performances in this episode, it really gives a message off that I was talking about in my episode 1 discussion about how Iroh and Zuko's relationship, and that it didn't really feel like Iroh was like a father figure to Zuko, that he was trying to get him to understand lessons and things like that about the world, and that like everything isn't always about the mission. Like you can't enjoy yourself even though you've been banished, and that you have to hunt down the Avatar. So this episode right here did a really good job of conveying Iroh's love for Zuko, and also vice versa. Because the flashback at the end, that was Zuko having that flashback. That wasn't Iroh thinking about it. And it was just really great that, Zuko also understands that Uncle Iroh doesn't have to be here with me. He chose to be here with me. He chose to have my back. And I'm glad that they're showing that, early in this first season. because we're on episode, well, that was episode 4, so we have half the season left. But up until this point, it didn't really feel, to me personally, it didn't really feel that Iroh had that, you're like the son I've never had, Well, obviously he's like the second son he never had. So I feel like moving forward, now that we've had this flashback, it'll be more like that throughout the season. I expressed about how Katara, her waterbending has, her ability in waterbending has jumped dramatically from the last episode. I don't really know how I feel about that. We've seen her practicing the water whip. We've seen her practicing with the earthbending scroll. And actually, I need to look up here. Here, hold on, give me 1 second. So, I was correct. So the episode with Jet happens before the Northern Air Temple episode. But I forget. I was trying to remember when Katara learned how to freeze stuff. Because I don't remember. I don't think the waterbending scroll taught her how to freeze stuff. But anyway, that's besides the point that I was just trying to make here. It's just, Katara had that one talk with Jet, and now we're seeing like her skill in waterbending has just jumped dramatically, and it hasn't even been a day. So I thought that was a little interesting. It kind of took me out of the episode just a little bit. I'm like, oh, you're freezing stuff now, and yeah, she's just. It looks like she's been practicing for months. All of a sudden, when really it hasn't been that long since she got the waterbending scroll and just started to really learn waterbending. Oh, speaking of waterbending, we haven't seen Aang do anything water-wise. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, Aang hasn't really practiced waterbending at all. Now I'm thinking about it. But yeah, all in all, the whole thing with Katara, I was like, okay, well, all of a sudden she's good now, so that's cool. It was really awesome getting to see her pouch. Like, she found her pouch. That's awesome. I love that. That scene was great. Even though, it was real, like, it doesn't have to be like this huge callback. It was really subtle, and I liked the way that they did it. So I guess that's it for the Freedom Fighters for now until we see them again later on. But yeah, all in all, good episode. Like the Badger Mole, I like that Aang still got to learn his lessons. My biggest gripe, and really, like, the episodes have been pretty good so far. Like, all the stuff that I'm talking about, like I said, it's my opinion, and I know it's pretty nitpicky, sort of, kind of, but, I feel like being fans of the show for so long, like, not even just me, like, everybody, because, like, it's Friday. Yeah, it's Friday, and, Twitter is already exploding, and, no, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. So, I understand that some people are going to like the show, and some people aren't going to like the show, and everyone's opinion is their own opinion. I try not to correct anybody unless it's actually wrong. But no. So, try not to correct anybody. And it's just, I love hearing you guys' opinion. Like, every time you guys leave comments and stuff, I do read them. That's not even with just this video, with all the videos that I make. And when it comes to shows like this, like, I was there for the beginning of Avatar, like me personally, it wasn't like something that I picked up. And a lot of these fans are new to Avatar. Some of them started with Korra and went back to the first show. But as for me personally, starting with the first show and like rewatching the first show multiple times before Korra was even a thing, and reading the books and all that other stuff, like, Avatar really is near and dear to my heart. So if it does sound like I'm nitpicking, I'm not trying to. Like, I'm really not. It's just like it's engraved in me. Like the original The Last Airbender series is just engraved in my mind. And people are like, oh, it's just an adaptation. Separate the animation from the live action. And for some people, it's just really somewhat impossible to do. Like, there's no way for me personally that I could think about any of these characters and not instantly go to the animated version. Like, there's just no way. Like, I would never be able to do it. But with that being said, this show so far, like I said, we're halfway through, and the show so far is pretty good. Like, it's not terrible. Better, it's better than the movie. I don't even have to say that anymore at this point. But yeah, all in all, leave a comment down below. How did you feel about Bumi? Somewhat bitterness towards Aang, and yeah, like I said, just Bumi being a little bit bitter towards Aang, and then the chute flashback. Him and Aang riding down the chute. Like, it just didn't really feel earned to me at all. All in all, I really like this episode, flaws and all. And yeah, other than that, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.